Hello and welcome to the class on the digestive system. I am Laura Lewis. I'm just going to make this full screen. Okay, F5. Okay, the digestive system. Okay, yep, not muted, just checking. Okay, so let's look at our learning aims. So we're looking at an overview of the digestive system and the organs that make up the system. Number 2, a description of the process of digestion and the passage of food through the body. And number 3, a discussion of the digestive enzymes that are present in the body and the process of mechanical and chemical digestion. Okay, first slide. So we're going to think about a little mini quiz to start off with. So which of these are digestive system organs? Okay, so obviously you can pause and yourself and have a go, but obviously I'll show you the answer. Just pause. Okay, and then you have a bit of time because you can pause the video. Okay, so digestive system. Okay, pancreas. Okay, might not have got that one. Pancreas, small intestine, stomach, large intestine. The liver also performs a function. We're going to go into it, different things that each thing does, and the gallbladder, because the food doesn't pass through the liver, but is involved in the process of digestion. So we're going to go into that. Okay, so you probably think, okay, what's the point? Okay, of digestion. So like overall, what's the point? If you think about it, food's quite large. Like if you eat a burger, okay, it's pretty big really. Think about it. You think if you eat a piece of bread or burger, the pieces you eat is quite big. So most of large substances will make food insoluble. So insoluble means it doesn't dissolve in water and therefore it won't dissolve in your blood. Okay, yeah, so meaning you can't absorb nutrients into your bloodstream. Okay, because most of your blood's actually water. Okay, so the digestive system is formed from a series of different organs that help break the large insoluble molecules into smaller soluble so they can be absorbed in the bloodstream. That's the general point of digestion. Okay, a lot of people don't really say the general point of digestion. Okay, but that's the actual point, is to make it soluble to go into the bloodstream. Okay, so I'm just going to talk roughly of a few of these. I'm going to go into detail about each one. So obviously food goes into your mouth. Okay, so that's the windpipe. The food does not go down there. There's a little flap here of skin that stops it going into your windpipe, but you may have accidentally sort of choked a bit on something before. That's when it's sort of gone down the wrong way, you call it. So your body chokes it back up. It's not supposed to go into your lungs. Okay, so you've got esophagus, okay, or the gullet, it's called here. It goes down. The liver sort of sits in front of this passage. It actually goes into your stomach. The liver and gallbladder produce enzymes, which we'll talk about a bit later. In your stomach, if food goes down, it's broken down, it goes into first of all the small intestine and the large intestine, and finally the rectum and anus. The appendix actually is what's called a vestigial organ. So that means that it's not really used anymore by our bodies. So the body doesn't really need it anymore. But it's from evolving from sort of herbivorous animals. So I think like a rabbit. Its appendix allows it to digest grass. So our appendix doesn't really work like that anymore. Actually, we can't digest grass anymore. We've got sort of adapted to eat other things because our diet obviously changed as we evolved. Okay. So it's a good thing actually here just to go back. And possibly draw this so we could print it out. Okay, so I'll annotate it and annotate all the different parts so you know where each thing is. So it's obviously just this, but it's a good thing to learn obviously where all the organs are. Okay, to so obviously to see how each different organs are. Okay, so that's a blank diagram for you. It's quite a detailed one. So the main ones you need to know: stomach, liver, gallbladder, small intestine inside large intestine. And actually large because it's wider, not because it's longer. No, it's because large intestine gets wider. Okay, small intestine, large intestine. So you've got the pancreas sitting there sort of behind. Okay, rectum and anus. They're kind of the key parts. They're the ones that are very interesting to know about. Okay, so as long as you remember the key ones, that's sort of minimum, but it's good to know all of them. Okay, for preparation for GCSE when you study them. Okay, so in detail about each one now. So journey of food. Okay, so it obviously starts at your mouth. Okay, so your teeth chew the food. That's what your teeth are for. So macerating, that means breaking up. That's the scientific word, macerating. the food into smaller pieces. We all know we're not snakes, and we can't swallow large objects. Okay, we have to chew them up. So saliva mixed with the food, it contains some digestive enzymes, so chemicals that help break down the food, and also lubricates the food. Because remember, if you're probably eating like a cracker, sort of like you get cheese and crackers on its own, it's not very nice to eat it. It's very dry, isn't it? Your mouth tries to make it lubricate, otherwise you gets you choke a bit, you'll cough and everything if you eat something very dry. So yeah, the tongue helps form a small ball of food called a bolus, making it easier to swallow. Yeah, because think about it, if it's sharp as well, it could hurt your esophagus, and yeah, you don't really want that. It's quite a painful thing, isn't it, to do? So yeah, so it makes it to form a ball. Okay, journey of food. So into the gullet, esophagus, also known as. So it's a muscular tube connecting the mouth to the stomach. Okay, so often you can feel it going down. So this type of movement where the muscle squeezes the ball of food, the bolus we know from before, it's called peristalsis, and this is a good thing as well to sort of think about for preparation for GCSE. So if you see it now, you won't be surprised. So peristalsis means it squeezes it down into your stomach. So peristalsis means it's like in waves, sort of it moves down. Yeah, so the muscular wall contracts in waves to push the food down the tube gradually in a process known as peristalsis. Okay, so something interesting at the moment. Okay, so we've got to the stomach. So it's a muscular bag, it makes it laugh. People used to make like footballs and things out of pig stomachs and bladders and things like that. So yeah, it's quite muscular, sort of that. So yeah, not from other humans, but like animals. They contracts to churn the food into a paste. Also, the stomach secretes digestive enzymes called pepsin. So that breaks down protein. So proteins are found in things like meat, okay, some beans, things like that. Also contains hydrochloric acid. Okay, hydrochloric acid is a very strong acid. If you used universal indicator on that, it'll be red. Okay, remember from chemistry there, definitely red. You've got a pH of about 2, and it further breaks down the food chemically and helps the enzymes to work properly, because enzymes work best in certain environments. Also, another thing the acid does, other than break down the food, it actually kills bacteria and viruses. Okay, to a certain extent, it kills a lot of them. So it's a good thing we've got that acid in our stomachs to help prevent infection. Okay, so next one where it goes into. So yeah, the duodenum. So it's going into the first part of the small intestine, and the first part of the small intestine is called the duodenum. He makes it in a book, the duodenum. Okay, so this part receives digestive juices from the pancreas and gallbladder. So now we've got things that are getting involved that actually with food doesn't pass through. So the liver has digestive enzymes, the pancreas does as well, and so does the gallbladder. So a bit of interesting things going on here. And so yeah, so it receives the digestive juices from the pancreas and gallbladder, because the liver goes into the gallbladder and it goes into the digestive system. So yeah, we don't really need to know too much about that at this level, but you need to know that the liver, gallbladder, and pancreas are involved. You don't need to know too much detail about how this process actually works. So this juices help break down the food into soluble nutrients. Okay. So yeah, we're going to have a bit more detail about these things. So the pancreas and the gallbladder. So the pancreas secretes digestive juices into the duodenum. These are carbohydrates, so that breaks down carbohydrates like bread, okay, and pasta, things like that. Protease, there's another one that breaks down protein, and lipase, that breaks down fat, okay. Enzyme, yeah, break down the 3 major food groups, what I've just talked about. The gallbladder secretes digestive juice called bile, so that's another one, bile into the duodenum via the bile duct. So yeah, bile helps make fats easier to digest. Interesting thing though, is actually your body can still work without a pancreas and without a gallbladder. Okay, that it help because these organs help, but you actually can survive without them. It's quite an interesting thing. So I've actually got, oddly enough, I've got some family members which have had their pancreas removed and their gallbladder removed, and then they can still survive. So there's some parts of your body which you can actually, I think you can survive to a certain extent without a stomach. I think you might have to have some kind of medical intervention with that one, but it's interesting things about the body to learn. learn something new every day to do the body. Okay, so now we get to the small intestine. So this is very, very important. Okay, we need some kind of small intestine. So yeah, long coiled tube, very long. It's called the small intestine, but it's long, just narrow. So insoluble food molecules are converted to soluble food. So the small intestine secretes more digestive enzymes to further break down the food nutrients. So the walls of the small intestine contain microscopic folds called villi. Okay, the villi have a large network of blood capillaries for the soluble molecules to move in via diffusion. Okay, so look at the villi in detail a little bit later. Villi sort of increase the surface area of the small intestine, and yeah, there's a whole slide on them a bit later. We'll look at the villi, but the general thing is the small intestine breaks. So the small intestine breaks down food even more. It can actually absorb nutrients. So we're actually getting absorption going on here, so into our bloodstream. Okay, large intestine. Okay, undigested food, so waste. This has got a bit of a different job to the small intestine. Moves into this section of the small intestine. Okay, so sorry, that should say large intestine. Let me just the large intestine. So here water diffuses back. So here water diffuses back into the blood, leaving behind a solid waste substance called feces. Okay, so yeah, it's waste. So the large so you don't need to know all of these exact parts of the large intestine, just large intestine, but it's interesting to see a diagram. So this is the large intestine, so its main job is actually to absorb water back. Again, it's called the large because it's wide, not because it's that long, really. It's not as long as the small intestine, I know. So yeah, so also it's good that this is why you need to have a lot of fibre in your diet as well as help food. So food waste needs to move along, because that helps to add sort of substance to the food and allows the body to process things a bit better and food to move along. So in the rectum, so yeah, the rectum is the final section of the large intestine. It's the area where feces is stored, so it's the waste products that your body doesn't need. So the anus is the exit route from the body. Feces are expelled. Okay, so that's all we really need to know about that. Okay, so yeah, a little bit about the other organs that are getting involved, about the liver. I always find liver a very, very interesting organ. Okay, got a very important job to do. If your liver doesn't work, you're in a lot of trouble, basically. Need intervention very, very quickly. Okay, it's kind of underappreciated organ, I always think. But also interesting the fact that if you lose about 2/3 of it, you can grow back. So that's a very interesting organ. Yes, so I'll carry on. So I always think it's not really talked about that much. So any digested food nutrients that are absorbed into the blood are taken to the liver to be processed. Yeah, liver is the job of processing it. Okay, so if it's absorbed in the small intestine, and then the liver actually processes it. So some of the molecules are further broken down, and others are used to make larger molecules which the body can use. So the liver makes the bile, and that's stored in the gallbladder. So that's what I was saying about the liver gets involved in that picture, because the liver actually makes it and it's stored in the gallbladder. Okay, the gallbladder doesn't make it, it just stores it. So it's a good thing at this point, okay, to copy this down and to obviously write down what happens and why does it happen. So go back over what I've talked about and talk about why these things happen. Okay, and this is extension on it, okay, about why these things happen. Okay, the villi. Yeah, I talked about the villi. So this is inside the small intestine. Okay, so you've got blood vessels in it. So this is the inside of the small intestine. So it's like they're sort of like little finger-like projections that stick out the inside of the small intestine. They're very, very tiny. Okay, probably have seen in a microscope. So to look at the walls, only 1 cell thick. I mean, like with your eye, you wouldn't be able to see these. You have to have a microscope. So yeah, the villi are microscopic folds in the small intestine. Yeah, they're kind of like projections or folds. They help absorb nutrients into the blood quickly by diffusion. Okay, so that's molecules moving in or out of a substance, diffusion. Okay, they've got a very good blood supply as well here, because obviously the molecules from outside has to be absorbed into the blood. Okay, so they need a good blood supply. This is a question often asked in exams about the villi. Okay, if you have one, it's called a villus, If you have more than one, it's a villi. Okay, so you wonder why it's a plural, that word, all the time, villi. So the villi have the following features to help digestion. So yeah, diffusion and therefore digestion. So one, a large surface area. So think about it, if the walls were flat, like if you get in some disorders in humans, that if you don't have as much surface area. If you've got projections like this, that means that the small intestine has a large surface area, or huge surface area. Like if you probably heard, if you laid it out all flat, it would be about the size of a football pitch, something like that, if you laid it all flat. Okay, a large network, yep, talked about that, of blood capillaries underneath each fold. So remember, capillaries link arteries and veins, and they're very thin. Extremely thin cell membrane, 1 cell thick. Okay, so very thin membrane. So yeah, they're very tiny structures. Okay, so yeah, it's so these are sort of quick fire questions. So what are the small folds in? So what are the small folds in your small intestine? Maybe that helps you remember. Called, and what is their function? Okay, so I'd like to answer this question on your own. Okay, after you've watched the video, explain how the following features of the villi help you absorb soluble food nutrients. So go back to the last slide and have a look about how these things do. So sort of quick fire questions. Watch the video, write these down, see if you can answer them without looking back. Okay, so just go through a few things. Let's see what, yeah, there's quite a lot of things going on in this video. Okay, so let's look at that. So an overview of the digestive system and organs that make up the system. Okay, so that was on our first slide. So overview. So remember to look at this and to copy this diagram down, because remember that the food passes through the mouth, the gullet or esophagus, the stomach, the small intestine, and then the large intestine, rectum and anus. That's actually where the food and then the waste comes out. The liver, the gallbladder, and the pancreas are involved in digestion, but food doesn't directly pass through there. Okay, so little bits of a reminder for you. Let's have a look at the next learning point. So description of the process of digestion and passage of food through the body. We said that about the passage of food. Okay, so remember the digestive enzymes. Okay, let me just go back to the digestive enzymes just to go over that, because yeah, lots of words, there's new words going on in this. Okay, so let's go back to this for a moment. The pancreas secretes digestive juices into the duodenum. That's the first part of the small intestine. These are carbohydrates. It breaks down carbohydrate into simple sugars. Okay, protease, that breaks down protein into amino acids, and lipase breaks down fat. So in more detail, you could say emulsifies fat. Okay, makes it into little tiny droplets. And the gallbladder, remember that the gallbladder doesn't make the bile, the gallbladder stores it. So the bile is made in the, so here it's a nice picture actually, that's why I chose this picture. So the gallbladder, the liver makes the bile, and that is stored in the gallbladder, and then the gallbladder secretes it into the small intestine, and it makes fats easier to digest. Okay, remember the small intestine, that's actually where the soluble food molecules are absorbed, and we talked about the villi. Okay, and they've got adaptions. Things, large intestine takes in water, okay, excess water from the food, and you have a solid waste substance called feces, and that's stored in the rectum and expelled through the anus. Liver, often yet one that's forgotten, okay, produces the bile, okay, and also after the blood comes from, if there's a little bit of extra information, after the blood comes from the small intestine, that actually filters through the liver, okay, because the liver removes any kind of toxins from the blood. So when people say about a certain food takes out toxins, that's not entirely true, because if you've got a fully functioning liver, which hopefully everyone does, or then your liver will deal with the majority of toxins in your sort of everyday diet. Okay, so a good thing to do is to copy this down and to write out what each thing does. Okay, so I'd recommend to do that. Okay, so thank you for joining the class. I hope to see you in another one, and thank you for joining. Goodbye.